What's up guys, welcome back to Finance to Fly. My name is Luke and I'm here to help you elevate your travel while minimizing your spending. Today we're going to be going over another airline card, the Alaskan Airlines Mileage Club card from Bank of America. So for the annual fee, this card comes in at a $95 annual fee. And for the sign-up bonus, the standard one is 60,000 miles after $3,000 spent in the first 90 days. Often though, they do have an increased sign-up bonus offer of 75,000 miles. They've even had 100,000 miles at one point, but that was email targeted. But with those 75,000 miles, you can also get the companion pass that is offered with the card, which is pretty nice, and we'll go into depth about it a little bit sooner. So for earnings rates, Alaska's got the pretty simple 3-2-1 earning rate, 3 miles per dollar spent on all Alaskan purchases, 2 miles per dollar spent on gas, EV charging, cable and streaming services, and local transit, and then 1 mile per dollar spent everywhere else. So for the benefits of this card, what are you getting for a $95 annual fee? Well, you're going to get 20% back on in-flight purchases and entertainment. You'll also get first checked bag free for you and up to 6 other people, which is a really good perk. You'll get $100 off the Alaskan Airlines Lounge Pass, no foreign transaction fees. And then if you hold a Bank of America debit card or I guess bank account, you get a 10% bonus on all earnings rates. You also get elite qualifying miles when you use your card on qualifying purchases. And last but not least, the big ticket item, the companion pass. It's marketed as their Alaskan's famous companion pass. And it's pretty simple, and it's probably the best perk of this card. Pretty much you pay $99 for a fare plus $23 in taxes and fees for a total of $122 for a flight when you have someone traveling with you. But you only get this A on a sign-up bonus or B after you spend $6,000 in the card member year. This companion pass is only valid on Alaskan Airlines flights. The map of that is shown on the screen now. Talk about it a little bit more when I get to my thoughts, but I do have some caveats with it and some quarrels. Hopefully it can become really good over the next 6 to 12 months. Quickly, while I got you here, if you could hit that like and subscribe button, it would be greatly appreciated. It only takes you 2 to 3 seconds. It helps the channel out a ton. Now back to the video. So what is the card worth? Well, you're gonna get those free check bags. So those are worth $35 each way, assuming you only check a bag once each way. Very, very conservative estimate. It'll be worth $70. You can mark that off the annual fee immediately. Obviously, if you're checking a bag and your wife or your spouse is checking a bag and you do that 5 times a year, that can be worth up a lot of money, save you a lot of money in check bag fees. Next value item I would look at is the $100 off the lounge fee. More specifically for those that are stationed on the West Coast that would have access to Alaskan lounges, but I looked in their lounge pass and it's actually pretty nice. There's 2 different tiers, the $595 tier and the $795 tier. The lower costing tier only gets you access to Alaskan lounges, but the higher tier actually has some pretty good perks. You get access to some Admiral Club lounges, you get access to some Qantas lounges, and most interesting enough, you get access to some United lounges. So pretty much they have a lounge in almost every major airport that you can go to if you're flying Alaska, but you have to be flying Alaskan or Qantas or American Airlines or United, but still it's pretty good value for your money considering they do have partnerships with these other lounges that normally you wouldn't think of United partnering with Alaskan for the lounges, but you do. I would say it's definitely worth it. I know they're coming out with a premium card that'll probably include this pass with the card, but if you only have this card, I definitely think that $100 would be worth it towards that higher lounge pass, especially if you're based on the West Coast, because Alaskan's presence is a lot on the West Coast. Of course, you'll get 20% back on all in-flight purchases too, but that is up to how much you spend on in-flight purchases. And now for the big ticket item, the companion pass. What is that worth? What do I value that at? Well, there are some restrictions which I don't like. First off, you can only book coach. Second off, it's only for Alaskan Airlines flights. This puts some limits on it, especially for those on the East Coast, but it has its perks. I mean, it's a $122 flight on a premium airline. It's not a Spirit airline Airlines, right? It's a $122 flight. It can be worth a lot. That being said, it's probably easier to use this on short haul flights, especially if you have to consider you're flying a competing route with another airline. If their price is half the price of one full ticket for Alaskan, I mean, you're using the companion pass and you're paying more than you're just paying the competitor's price. But I do value it at a lower rate than probably other people will. But I value it since an average flight costs around $300, probably around the $322 range, just so I can keep the numbers even. Obviously, you can get a ton more value if you're flying a different route and you are West Coast based, but you also have to worry about competitors and how their pricing compares. Pretty much you have to compare Alaskan's price of one ticket plus the companion pass to maybe the price of Americans for 2 tickets, Spirit's for 2 tickets, something like that. But valuing it at $322, you'll get about $200 in value, since you do have to pay $122 in taxes and fees. At $200 is very, very conservative. You can get a ton more value. I know you can. I wanted to value it low so that you can at least get a lower expectation. And if you achieve higher than that, then that's good for you. Not only that, you have to hit the minimum $6,000 spent on the card per year, which is kind of tedious, especially if you have a higher earning card that you would rather spend it on. That being said, I'd put you at around, conservatively, around $275 ahead of the annual fee per year, which is really good for a $95 annual fee card. So with redeeming Alaskan Airlines miles, it's one of the best award charts, similar to American Airlines miles, and their website is super easy to book and look at stuff. But anyways, the first redemption we're going to take advantage of is the Air Tahiti flight from Seattle to Tahiti. This is a partner award flight, going to cost 60,000 miles and $19 each way, or for one way, 60,000 miles and $19. The same one-way ticket is going to cost $5,500. This is an incredible value for your points because it's a 9.2 cent per point value, which you get when you subtract the taxes and fees from the cash cost and then divide by the points amount. Obviously, if you're doing a round trip, you'll get a little bit less than cent per point value. That's still a good value for your points, especially on that long haul flight to Tahiti. And if you were to connect out of the East Coast, I took, for example, my hometown airport, Cleveland. It's going to be 75,000 miles for that same flight, just an increase of 15,000 more miles, which is not bad. Obviously, you can fly to LAX and get to Tahiti, which will probably be quicker than going to Seattle from Cleveland, but still, depending on the routing, depending on your points price, depending on the cash rate, it all depends, but that routing would be available, which is nice. Next up, we're going to book a new route that needs government approval. At the time of this recording, did need government approval still. I don't know when it uploads, if it still needs it or not, but there is a flight from Seattle to Tokyo going to be happening on Hawaiian Airlines, which is where Alaskan Airlines is tying up their merger nice and tightly. For this award flight, we're going to be flying from LAX to Seattle to Tokyo, and it'll cost 95,000 miles and $6 in taxes and fees, whereas this flight for cash will cost almost $5,000. This is a one-way business class ticket, but it will also have a 5.25 cents per point value, which is pretty good for business class flights. I mean, obviously it's great for business class flights. Definitely would recommend looking at this route when it gets government approved or rejected. It's nice to see Alaskan using Hawaiian's long-haul airplanes for the right reasons. Lastly, we're going to take advantage of Alaskan Airlines partner over in Germany, not Lufthansa, but Condor. This flight will again be a business class flight, this time from Boston to Frankfurt. It'll only cost you 55,000 miles and $49 in taxes and fees. Meanwhile, the cash cost of this is actually not that bad. It's around $1,500. It's not as valuable as the other redemptions you can get. It'll still get you a 2.55 cent per point value for your miles, which is pretty good. Honestly, it's not a bad cost for a business class flight, especially one way. $1,500 is not bad at all, considering a lot of business class flights cost $3,000 to $4,000 round trip, even more depending on where you're going. So I would definitely check out the cash rate of that too, if you're able to afford it. Either way, you get the points option, which is so much cheaper. So what are my thoughts on this Alaskan Airlines card, and who do I think it's for? Well, I like this card, but I would like it more if I was West Coast based. In Cleveland, there is one Alaskan Airlines flight, and that is to Seattle. So really, the companion fare will not be much use to me, considering it only can be used on Alaskan flights. So I'd only be able to fly through Seattle and then to wherever I was going, which kind of would be out of the way. There is the option to Hawaii and hopefully Tokyo if they include Hawaiian Airlines to be used under the companion pass, considering now they're one company, but that's for the future to find out. Not only that, I can usually get a direct flight to LAX through United, which is more prominent in Cleveland, and I'll get status with them, stuff like that. That being said though, I do think Alaskan Airlines has a solid reason to be on your radar, if not in your portfolio, for those that live on the West Coast. That's because they have a lot of major airline hubs like LAX, San Francisco, Seattle. They have a lot of presence over there, and you can obviously get good rates to the East Coast or down to Mexico, down to South America, or I guess Latin America, all in Alaska, especially Hawaii. And if you can get over to Japan, and they do an intra-Asia, if they can integrate Hawaiian Airlines into the companion fare so that both Alaskan Airlines and Hawaiian Airlines flights can be used with the companion fare, it can be a very solid option. I know that Hawaiian flies to Japan, Australia, New Zealand, stuff like that. Yes, you won't have a direct routing, but if you can go from Cleveland to Seattle to Hawaii to Australia or Japan, that's pretty good in terms of not having a super long haul flight, getting a chance to go take a stretch an hour or two wherever you're flying to, and just getting a different option to fly over to Asia or Australia, stuff like that. Obviously, there's still a lot to come with that merger, but hopefully that is integrated into their plans somehow. I'm sure we're going to hear more later this year, especially because they're going to have that top tier card coming out with $395 annual fee, but we'll have to hear more about that in the future. Either way, I do think this is a card that's based for more people in the West Coast. That's because they have the bigger presence over there. They have their own lounges over there, stuff like that. So if you are on the West Coast, I definitely would look at it. If you're on the East Coast, obviously you can look at it, especially if you're traveling to Seattle a lot, but I just don't think it's as much value for you, since you really can't get value out of the companion fare unless you're flying Alaskan operated flights. All in all though, what do you think? Do you have this card? Do you like the card? Are you based on the West Coast? Is Alaskan your carrier? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you could hit that like and subscribe button, it would be greatly appreciated. Until next time, have a great day.